Good morning, and today we can see about the next part of chromatography. And in the last class, we already seen about chromatography, and there we studied about the definition regarding chromatography. That is introduction part about chromatography. Then different types of chromatographic techniques, some working principles of chromatography, and also we studied about different chromatographic techniques like paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography, and high performance thin layer chromatography. So these three different types of chromatographic techniques we already studied in the previous class. Okay. Now, some more portions were pending in this topic. That is some other other techniques of chromatography is pending in this topic. So, and I already told about the various university questions also. That is, sometimes an essay question will be asking like this: write briefly about the different chromatographic techniques for 10 marks. And in some other cases, the question will be like this: so write about HPLC for 5 marks, or HPTLC for 5 marks, or gas chromatography 5 marks, paper chromatography 5 marks, etc. So these are the possible questions that you can expect from this topic for your university examinations. Clear? So previous class we already seen about and the so paper chromatography, then thin layer chromatography, and HPTLC or high performance thin layer chromatography. These three techniques we completed during our previous lecture. Now we are going to see about the remaining topics in this unit. Clear? So okay, that's the thing which we are going to study here. So currently we are in unit number 4, that is basis of phytochemistry. There you have to study about the modern methods of extraction. This I will be taking later. Then application of latest spectroscopic techniques. We already completed this one. Then chromatography first 3 techniques we already taken during the last lecture, and the remaining things you will be seeing today. And next thing is electrophoresis, etc. in the isolation as well as purification, identification, etc. of crude drugs. So this is the unit which you are going to study here. Okay. So that's the unit we are going to study in this lecture. So now we are studying about the next type of chromatography, that is column chromatography. So this is the next chromatographic technique, that is column chromatography. So this column chromatography is used for the separation as well as isolation of different constituents present in the extracts. So here we are studying about plant extracts and about the separation of different components present in the plant extract. So this column chromatography is used for the separation as well as isolation of different constituents present in the plant extract. So you already knowing that a plant extract may be having different types of constituents, and for the purpose of separating the particular component from the plant extracts, we are using this column chromatographic technique. So column chromatography is used for the separation as well as isolation of different constituents present in the extract. And here a vertical glass column is there, means just like the burette, you already knowing about the burette, and just like the burette a vertical glass column is there, and this glass column should have to be filled with the column grade adsorbents. So adsorbent you already studied during the previous lecture. So in thin layer chromatography, the adsorbent we are using there is silica gel G of paper thin layer chromatography grade, not paper, of thin layer chromatography grade. And here the adsorbent is column grade adsorbent. Maybe it is silica gel G of column grade only. So column grade adsorbents will be using, and various organic solvents as well as water will be using as the eluting media. So eluting media means a mobile phase only, just the mobile phase, that's the eluting media. And here water as well as different organic solvents will be using as the eluting media. So here in column chromatography, it is composed of a long vertical column like this. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു long vertical ആയിട്ടുള്ള glass column ഉണ്ടാവും, just like a burette only. So this is a long vertical column, and here one tap is there, and this column should be filled up to this with the help of any suitable adsorbents. That is, this adsorbent should be of the PC grade. So this is the adsorbent, this is adsorbent, that is adsorbent will be there, and this adsorbents will be of PC grade, means a column chromatographic grade also adsorbents will be there, and this adsorbent should be filled in the long vertical glass column. Clear? So and after this the sample will be eluted with the help of different eluting agents or the solvents, and these solvents are composed of various organic solvents as well as water. So that is from benzene മുതൽ water വരെയുള്ള organic solvents അതുപോലെ non polar means inorganic solvents എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടാവും. So it is composed of organic solvents as well as water. Clear? And the sample to be separated is placed on the top of the column. So this is the top region of the column, and here the sample should be separated. So the sample should be separated is placed on the top of the column. So whatever extract you are going to separate, and this extract should have to be placed on the top of the column like this. This blue mark is there. So this is a sample, and this sample which you are going to separate is to be placed on the top of the column. Clear? And the suitable solvent system or gradient elution technique, this separation can be achieved. So here the separation can be achieved by the help of suitable solvent system. Suitable solvent means if you are knowing the solvent, then that particular solvent can be directly used. So in your paper chromatography of amino acids, we are using what solvent system? N-butanol, acetic acid and water in the ratio 4:1:5. So this is a non-solvent system. And here, if you are not knowing about the solvent system, then by gradient elution technique, the separation can be achieved. So here gradient elution technique means, so first you have to take the most non-polar solvent. So sorry, most polar solvent, that is non-polar organic solvent, that is N-hexane. First you have to take N-hexane, and this N-hexane has to be taken in the ratio 100% N-hexane. So first you have to take 100% N-hexane, then you have to go for the next polar solvent, that is N-hexane കഴിഞ്ഞ് അടുത്ത് വരാനുള്ള benzene ആണ്. So first 100% N-hexane എടുത്തു, then next 80% of N-hexane and 20% of benzene you have to take. Likewise, still water you have to do. This is a gradient elution technique that you will be studying detail in your higher classes. So the sample to be separated is placed on the top of the column, and suitable solvent system or gradient elution technique is used for the separation. Okay. Now, under the influence of gravity, the sample is moved through the column. So here the sample is placed in the top region of the column, and mobile phase is also pouring from the top of the column, and here on tap is there, and this sample is placed here. Then if you are pouring the mobile phase here, then the sample will be moving from top to bottom under the influence of gravity. That is, under the influence of gravity, the sample is moved through the column. Clear? Now, the fractions can be collected from the bottom of the column. So from here, this is the bottom of the column. From this region, the fractions can be collected. That is, the fractions can be collected from the bottom of the column, and after distilling of the solvent present there. So if fraction എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ liquid ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും കിട്ടുന്നത്. So here some liquid will be there, and this liquid should have to be distilled off, and you will be getting a dry concentrated residue. And this is the extract, means this is a separated compound. So this concentrated residue of the fraction is to be stored in a clean as well as dry glass vials. Clear? So this is how the separation happens in column chromatography, and this is how we can collect the separated fraction of compound. Clear? So the concentrated residue of the fraction are to be stored in clean and dry glass vials. Then, and it should be monitored by TLC studies. എന്തിനാണ് TLC ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്? So we have to know whether separation take place or not. For the purpose of knowing that, we have to do every fraction TLC, that is thin layer chromatography, should be performed on every isolated fraction. And if in the thin layer chromatography a single spot is obtained, then you can confirm that the given sample is pure. Otherwise it is impure. You have to go for again furthermore column chromatographic techniques, and if a single spot is obtained, then that compound will be pure. Clear? So for that purpose, we have to monitor TLC studies for every fraction of the solvent or fraction of the extract. So that is about column chromatography. ഇത്രയാണ് നമുക്ക് column chromatography അറിയാനുള്ളത്. So column chromatography, it is used for the separation and isolation of different constituents present in the extracts. Clear? Now, here a vertical glass column is there, and this glass column should have to be filled with the column grade adsorbents, that is silica gel G. So column grade adsorbents എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ silica gel G എന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അലുമിനിയം യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം. And by using various organic solvents as well as water, means the eluting can be done. So various organic solvents as well as water can be used as a eluting media or the mobile phase. So about എന്തൊക്കെയാ requirements എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, vertical glass column is there, and this glass column should have to be filled with the column grade adsorbents like silica gel G or something. Then by using various organic solvents as well as water, the elution can be done. That is the mobile phase. Clear? Now the sample that is going to be separated is placed on the top of the column like this. Clear? And by gradient elution system or with the help of a non-solvent, the separation can be achieved. So if you are knowing the solvent system of that particular extracts or particular compound, then directly you can use that solvent system. And if the solvent system is unknown, then by the process of gradient dilution technique, the separation can be achieved. Clear? Now, under the influence of gravity, the sample is moved through the column. Under the influence of gravity, the sample is moved through the column. Now, the fractions can be collected at the bottom of the column, and this fraction will be having liquid as well as some extra isolated part will also be there. And this liquid should have to be distilled to recover the solvent. Means solvent recover. Otherwise, you can left away distill of the solvent. And the concentrated residue will be obtained, and it is in the dried form, and this concentrated residue should have to be stored in a clean as well as dry glass vials. Okay, and every fraction you are collecting from the column, it should be monitored by thin layer chromatographic studies. The purpose of doing thin layer chromatography is that, so you have to know whether separation takes place or not, and if proper separation takes place, then you will be getting a single spot on the thin layer chromatography. So that is about column chromatography. So chalappo 5 mark column chromatography choikya. So the major applications of column chromatography is, it is used in the separation of plant constituents. Clear? Separation of plant constituents, that's a major use of column chromatography. Clear? So for the next chromatographic technique, that is flash chromatography. So next chromatography technique is flash chromatography. Okay, so this flash chromatography is fast, simple and widely used preparative separation technique. So flash chromatography is a fast, simple and widely used preparative separation technique. Preparative separation ആണ് column chromatography preparative തന്നെയാണ്. So this is also preparative only. So flash chromatography is a fast, simple as well as widely used preparative separation technique. Clear? And this is an advanced version of the conventional column chromatography. In column chromatography, we already studied that, and then there is a long column. Then inside this, some column grade adsorbents are there. Sample will be placing from the top of the column. Then by gradient dilution or with the help of non-solvent, the dilution can be done. Clear? And fractions can be collected from bottom, and after recovering means removing the solvent, the dried extract means isolate can be stored. Clear? And every time you have to monitor the thin layer chromatographic studies. So this flash chromatography is also an advanced version of the conventional column chromatography. Clear? So here the stationary phase is packed on a long narrow glass tube like this. And here the glass tube is in fact even shorter than the glass tube which is present in column chromatography. അതിനേക്കാളും കുറച്ചുകൂടെ shorter ആയിട്ടുള്ള glass tube ആണ് ഈ flash chromatography യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Just like this only. So just like the column chromatography, so here also you have to pack the sample, means pack this column with the help of some adsorbents like this. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു adsorbents, column grade adsorbents തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെയും യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Okay, like this you have to pack here. Then here on tap is this is the column present in flash chromatography. So here the stationary phase, that is silica gel or some other adsorbents, should have to be packed in a long narrow glass tube like this. Okay, now the sample should be placed in the top just like usual only. Means in column chromatography we already studied that the sample should have to be placed on the top of the column like this. Same thing only here also applying. Okay, now next thing is here the major difference is the flow rate of the mobile phase. So in column chromatography we already studied that the sample will be moving downwards under the influence of gravity. But in flash chromatography, the flow rate of the mobile phase can be accelerated by applying pressure on the top of the column or by applying suction from the lower end of the column. So the flow rate can be controlled by applying pressure from the top of the column or by applying suction, suction from the bottom of the column. Okay, so that is how we can regulate the flow rate present inside the column. This can be regulated by the help of applying pressure from the top of column or by applying suction from the lower end of the column. Clear? Now, what's the purpose of doing this pressure? So this is used for decreasing the time of the components which is spending on the column. സോ ഈ കോളത്തിനകത്തുള്ള ആ കോമ്പണൻസിന്റെയും കോളമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കോൺടാക്ട് ടൈം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. ആ ടൈം റെഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിക്രീസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഇവിടെ പ്രഷർ കൊടുക്കുന്നത്. സോ ദ മീൻസ് പ്രഷർ ഈസ് റെഗുലേറ്റഡ് ഫോർ ഡിക്രീസിങ് ദ ടൈം ഓഫ് കോൺടാക്ട് ഓഫ് കോമ്പൗണ്ട്സ് ആൻഡ് ദ മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് പ്രസന്റ് ഇൻസൈഡ് ദ കോളം. അല്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഓൾസോ യൂസ്ഡ് ഫോർ ഇൻക്രീസിങ് ദ ഫ്ലോ റേറ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ മൊബൈൽ ഫേസ്. Okay, so this pressure is applied from top or section is applied from bottom for the purpose of decreasing the time of contact between the compounds and the materials packed inside the column, or to increase the flow rate of the mobile phase. Clear? So in column chromatography, we knowing that we may be knowing that, and so the compounds will be moving downwards only under the influence of gravity. There no pressure or suction is applying. But in flash chromatography, a pressure should be applied from the top of column, or suction should be applied from the bottom of the column. And this is mainly doing for the purpose of decreasing the time of contact between the isolate, means compound which is going to be isolate, and also by the adsorbent. Or also it is used for increasing the flow rate of the mobile phase. So for that purpose only we are giving pressure from top or suction from bottom. Okay, so that is how we already told that this is an advanced version of the conventional chromatographic technique. Okay, now next point is, so here the particle size of adsorbent should be smaller than that of the column chromatography. So in column chromatography, adsorbents will be there, and these adsorbents are of column grade. Okay, and in flash chromatography, it is a flash grade. That is, here the adsorbents, the particle size of adsorbent should be smaller than that of the adsorbents which we are using in column chromatography. അതായത് അഡ്സോർബൻസിന്റെ സൈസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആ പാക്കിംഗ് മെറ്റീരിയലിന്റെ സൈസ് ആണ്. സോ ആദ്യം ഫസ്റ്റ് നമുക്ക് ടിൻ ലെയർ ക്രോമാറ്റോഗ്രാഫി എടുക്കുക, TLC. സോ ഇവിടെ അഡ്സോർബൻസിന്റെ സൈസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കുറച്ച് ബിഗ് ആയിരിക്കും. സോ ഇൻ thin layer chromatography the particle size is bigger, and so in column chromatography the particle size of the adsorbents used will be smaller than that of the adsorbents used in thin layer chromatography. Okay, and in flash chromatography it should be even smaller than the particle size should be even smaller than the particle size which we are using in എന്താണ് column chromatography. അതായത് the particle size of the adsorbents which we are using in flash chromatography should be smaller than that of the column chromatography. So for flash chromatography is a fast and widely used simple technique, that is it's a preparative separation technique, and this is advanced to the conventional column chromatography. And here the stationary phase is packed in a long narrow glass tube, and the flow rate of the mobile phase can be accelerated by applying pressure on the top of column or by applying suction from the lower end of the column. So the purpose of doing this pressure is or suction is to decrease the time of contact between the compounds and the adsorbent, also to increase the flow rate of the mobile phase. And here the particle size of the adsorbent should be smaller than that of the column. Okay, now we can say about the next type of chromatography, that is high performance liquid chromatography. It can be abbreviated as HPLC, and this is different from HPTLC that previously we already studied. Okay, so that is high performance thin layer chromatography, and this one is high performance liquid chromatography. It is HPLC. This can even be asked for a 5-mark question. Clear? So this HPLC is an advanced form of column chromatography. High performance liquid chromatography is an advanced version of column chromatography, and this uses high pressure, that is pressure ranges up to 5000 or 5000 pounds per inch. So this is an advanced form of column chromatography, and it uses high pressure, that is up to 5000 or 5000 pounds per inch, to move the mobile phase through a small particle sized stationary phase bed. Okay, so here also one column is there, and this column is shorter and also narrower than the flash as well as column chromatography columns. And here the particle size is in fact very smaller, that is the size of particle may ranges from 2 to 10 micrometers. Okay, so we already knowing that in thin layer chromatography, silica gel is a adsorbent and it is having somewhat bigger particle size, and in column chromatography it is smaller than the thin layer chromatography. Then in flash chromatography even the adsorbents are very smaller than the column chromatography, and in high performance thin layer chromatography it is very small in size. In fact the size range of particles that in the stationary bed of column high performance liquid chromatograph is from 2 to 10 micrometers. 2 to 10 micrometer is the particle size, okay, of the stationary phase in column chromatography. Clear? Now here, stainless steel columns are normally used. So in in column chromatography and flash chromatography, the columns are made up of glass. Okay, glass columns were used, whereas in HPLC or high performance liquid chromatography, we are using stainless steel columns. Stainless steel columns are normally used, and this type of columns are generally used to withstand high pressure. Since from the name itself we are applying very high pressure to the system, and in order to withstand that high pressure we require stainless steel columns. So if it is glass column means then if we are giving high pressure, then it may, chances are there it may break. Okay, but whereas here we are using stainless steel column and they are used to withstand the high pressure. Clear? And this technique is mainly used for the quantitative analysis of the samples. Okay, because it is having very high resolution as well as sensitivity. Previously, we studied about thin layer chromatography, paper chromatography, then means column chromatography, flash chromatography, etc. So from that, the paper means column chromatography and flash chromatography generally used for preparative purpose. Whereas this HPLC or high performance liquid chromatography is normally employed for quantitative analysis. So it is mainly used for the quantitative analysis, not the qualitative. So it is meant for the quantitative analysis of the sample, and preparative ആയിട്ട് ഇത് അധികം യൂസ് ചെയ്യാറില്ല. Analytical ആയിട്ടാണ് HPLC കൂടുതൽ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So this technique is mainly used for the quantitative analysis of the sample because it is having very high resolution as well as sensitivity. Clear? So HPLC is an advanced form of column chromatography. So HPLC is a high performance liquid chromatography, and this is an advanced version of column chromatography. And here high pressure, that is it may ranges up to 50-100 pound per inch is used to move the mobile phase through the small particle sized stationary phase bed. And the particle size of stationary bed in column chromatography may ranges from 2 to 10 micrometers. Clear? And normally stainless steel columns were used. We are using stainless steel column in order to withstand the very high pressure. Clear? Now this technique is mainly used for the quantitative analysis because it is having very high resolution as well as sensitivity. Clear? And here the column is also very narrow. Okay, and the diameter of column is about 5 millimeter. So about 5 millimeter is the diameter of column. മറ്റുള്ള column എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഗ്ലാസ് മീൻസ് കോളം ക്രോമാറ്റോഗ്രാഫിയിലോ ഫ്ലാഷ് ക്രോമാറ്റോഗ്രാഫിയിലോ ഒക്കെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ diameter of the column എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മിനിമം ഒരു 3 centimeters 2 centimeter മുതൽ 8 centimeters വരെ വരും. But in column chromatography, this one HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography, the column is very narrow, that is it may about 5 millimeter in diameter, and the common stationary phase used in means HPLC is silica based silanol groups. സിലിക്ക ബേസ്ഡ് തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെയും വരുന്നത്. സിലിക്ക ജെല്ലോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സിലനോൾ ഗ്രൂപ്പ്സ് ഉള്ള എന്തെങ്കിലും സിലിക്ക ബേസ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് ആണ് HPLCയുടെ കോളത്തിനകത്ത് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. So here in HPLC the column is very narrow, that is about 5 millimeters, and the common stationary phase which we are using in HPLC is silica based silanol base. Clear? അപ്പം എന്താണ് HPLC is an advanced means it is a high performance liquid chromatography and it is advanced form of column chromatography and this uses high pressure, that is it may ranges up to 50-100 pounds per inch to move the mobile phase through the small particle size. That is here the particle size is from 2 to 10 micrometer, and this particle size are packed in the stationary phase bed. Clear? And here stainless steel columns were normally used, and we are using stainless steel column to withstand the high pressure because in HPLC we are applying very high pressure. Initially itself I already told that the pressure may ranges from 50-100 pounds per inch. Okay, and stainless steel columns are normally used to withstand the very high pressure. Clear? Now this technique is mainly used for the quantitative analysis because it is having very high resolution as well as sensitivity, and the column is very narrow, that is it may ranges from means width of the column is about 5 millimeter in diameter, not the width, the diameter of the column is 5 millimeter, that is column is very narrow, and the stationary phase generally used is silica based silanol groups. Now next point is in HPLC the sample is to be injected in very small quantities. So ഇതുവരെ നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ച എല്ലാ ക്രോമാറ്റോഗ്രാഫിക് ടെക്നിക്സിലും സാമ്പിൾ ഷുഡ് ബി അപ്ലൈഡ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഷുഡ് ബി കെപ്റ്റ് ഓൺ ടോപ്പ് ഓഫ് ദ കോളം അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് പഠിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. ബട്ട് ഇൻ HPLC the sample should be injected. Here the sample should be injected in very small quantity, that is 10 micrometer അങ്ങനെയുള്ള microliters അങ്ങനെയുള്ള വളരെ ചെറിയൊരു ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റിയിലുള്ള സാമ്പിൾ we have to inject. Okay, so in HPLC the sample is to be injected in very small quantities through the sample injector. So in the instrument one sample injector is there, and through this sample injector the sample should be injected in very small quantities. Okay, and after eluting the compounds can be detected using their various physical as well as structural properties by connecting a detector. So after eluting the separation will be taking place, and this separated compounds can be visualized or detected with the help of a detector. In detector we are studying the physical as well as structural property of the eluent, and then only we can identify or quantify the substance. Clear? So in HPLC the sample is to be injected in very small quantities through the sample injector, and the eluting compounds can be detected using their various physical as well as structural properties by connecting to a detector. So here detector is an instrument, and this instrument is used for visualizing or detecting the eluted compounds. Clear? So in HPLC the sample is separated, and this separated compounds can be detected with the help of a detector. And in detector the various properties that we are connecting or correlating are and the kind of physical as well as structural property of the eluent. That is means every substance will be having some specific structural properties, also some specific physical properties are there. So these properties are connected or interpreted by the help of a detector, and with the help of that detector the sample can be analyzed. Clear? So in HPLC the sample is to be injected in very small quantities through the sample injector, and the eluting compounds can be detected using the various physical as well as structural properties by connecting to a detector. Different type of detectors are there that you will be studying in detail during your analysis class. Clear? Okay, so the instrument used for HPLC or high performance liquid chromatography, so it's an instrumental chromatographic technique. So this instrument is highly sophisticated, and it is having somewhat around 14 lakh, more than some 10 to 20 lakhs, means in between 10 to 20 lakh, approximately around 14 lakh is the actual cost of, means approximate cost of this instrument. So this instrument used for HPLC normally composed of a sample injector. So this is the first part. So it is having a sample injector, then a pump is there or pressure pump, and this pump will be taking this sample to the column. Next part is a major part of the instrument, that is a column, that we already told that it is very small and diameter of some approximately 5 millimeter diameter ഉള്ള ഒരു കോളമാണ്. Inside of the column it is packed with the stationary bed, and it is composed of silica based silicon group, and the particle size is 2 to 10 micrometer അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു കോളം ഉണ്ടാവും. So after column one detector is there, and after detector one result viewing media is there, and result viewing media means it may be either a monitor or a printer, generally monitor or a TV screen or computer screen that is used for the visualizing purpose. So these are the various parts of the instrument. Okay, so the instrument used for high performance liquid chromatography normally composed of a sample injector, a pressure pump, column, then detector, and a result viewing media like monitor or the printer. So these are the different parts of the instrument. Clear? So in HPLC the sample is to be injected in very small quantities through the sample injector. The sample injector is also present along with the instrument, and through this injector only the sample should be injected in very low quantities, very small quantity, that means approximately around 10 microliter. That sample should be injected. Then after eluting, the eluent compound can be detected using their various physical as well as structural properties by connecting to a detector. Clear? Then the instrument used for HPLC. This part is very important, instrumentation part. So the instrument used for HPLC is composed of a sample injector. So this is the first part of the instrument, that is sample injector, and after that the second part is the pressure pump or the pump. Then third part is a major part, that is a column, and this column is composed of stainless steel column, and inside that a silica based silicon group is there that is packed there, and this is a column. So the diameter of column is approximately 5 millimeter. So then the fourth part is detector. After the sample is passing through the column, it may get separated and they get eluted, and this elutant is passed through the detector where only the results can be interpreted. And finally, the fifth part of the instrument is result viewing media. It may be either a monitor or a printer. So these are the 5 general parts of HPLC instrument. So one is a sample injector, then pump, then column, detector, result viewing media like monitor or printer. Okay. Now the next point is, so various applications of HPLC. These are the various applications of HPLC. അതാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് പറയാൻ പോകുന്നത്. So ഇത് 5 മാർക്കിന് സാധാരണ ചോദിക്കാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉള്ളതാണ്. Applications of HPLC means general ആയിട്ട് ചോദിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതുകൊണ്ട് എഴുതി വെക്കണം. Okay. So HPLC, that is high performance liquid chromatography. It is widely used in pharmaceutical industry for the detection of impurities. So it is mainly used for the detection of impurities present in chemicals. Okay. So in pharmaceutical industry, this HPLC instrument is mainly used for finding out the presence of impurities in chemicals. Clear? ഇതാണ് ഒന്നാമത്തെ application എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So it is used for finding out the impurities present in chemical substances. Now the second application is, it is used in the quantitative analysis of the sample. So quantitative analysis of the active ingredient, that is the second application. So it is used for the quantification of active ingredient. So suppose if a sample is having more than 1 or 2 compound, so you have to quantify one sample, then that time you can use this HPLC. So it is used for the quantification of the active ingredients present in the sample. Used for the quantification of active ingredients present in the sample. Then the third application is, it is used for the identification of compounds. So what compound it is, that can also be identified by the fingerprint of this HPLC. It is used for the identification of compounds. Clear? Now the last application is, it is used for the simultaneous estimation of mixtures. Mixtures means it should be having more than one compound. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള സാധനത്തിനാണ് mixtures എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So ഇതിനകത്തുള്ള ഒന്ന് രണ്ട് സാധനത്തിന്റെയൊക്കെ ഒരുമിച്ച് അനലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി HPLC യൂസ് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. Okay, so it is used in the simultaneous estimation of mixtures. So these are the different applications of HPLC. So it is widely used in pharmaceutical industry for the purpose of detecting impurities. Impurities it is present in chemicals. So it is used in pharmaceutical industries for the purpose of detecting impurities present in chemical substances. Second thing is, used in the quantification of the active ingredient present there. Then the third application is, it's used for the identification of compounds by taking the fingerprint of the standard and comparing it with the sample. Clear? Now the fourth application is, it is used in the simultaneous estimation of mixtures. So ഇത്രയൊക്കെയാണ് HPLC യിൽ പറയാനുള്ളത്. Okay. So apart from pharmaceutical industry, this ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞാണ് ഇതിന്റെ pharma uses ആണ് ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ പറയാം. Now apart from pharmaceutical industry, so HPLC is also widely used in biochemical as well as pesticide industry also. Okay, so it's also widely used in biochemical as well as pesticide industry. So ഇതിനെ pesticide industries use ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്, biochemical industries use ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. So ഇത് ഇതിന്റെ application ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ pharma industries ന്റെ use എന്തൊക്കെയായിരുന്നു? Detection of impurities present in chemicals, then quantification of active ingredients, third one is identification of compounds, then the fourth one is simultaneous estimation of mixtures. Now apart from pharmaceutical industry, so HPLC is also widely used in biochemical and pesticide industry. So that is about HPLC. So HPLC is a high performance liquid chromatography. It is an advanced version of the column chromatography. Here high pressure is applied, that is pressure may ranges up to 5000 or 5000 pounds per square inch. Okay, that pressure will be applying, and here the column is made up of stainless steel. So stainless steel columns are generally used to withstand the high pressure which we are giving initially. Okay, and inside the stainless steel column, a bed of silica based silanol group is coated as the adsorbent. Clear? So then the sample is injected in very small quantities through a sample injector, and after eluting this eluent will be moving towards a detector, and in the detector, by taking various physical as well as structural properties, the sample can be visualized. And these things were taking place inside the detector. And regarding the instrumental part of HPLC, the instrument is generally composed of one a sample injector, second a pump is there, and in the sample injector only we are injecting the sample, and after injecting the sample, this pressure pump will be taking the sample to the third part, that is a column. So column we already studied that is stainless steel and diameter it is 5 millimeter. So inside that silanol groups are coated, and this pressure pump will be taking the sample to the column. So in column, when once the mobile phase is circulated, it may get eluted, and after eluting, this separated part will be moving towards the fourth part of the instrument, that is the detector. Different types of detectors are there. So this eluted substances will be moving towards a detector, and in detector it will be getting analyzed, and finally the result can be viewed by the help of the fifth part of instrument, that is it may be either a monitor or a printer, and they are the result viewing medias. So in HPLC, the various result viewing medias are monitor or printer. So the instrument will be having a sample injector, a pump, column, detector, result viewing media like monitor, printer, etc. Then next part is about the application. So it is widely used in pharmaceutical industry for the detection of impurities that are present in chemical substances, then quantification of active ingredients, then identification of compounds, then simultaneous estimation of mixtures, and also widely used in biochemical as well as pesticide industries. So that's all about HPLC. We can see about the next and last type of chromatographic technique, that is gas chromatography. So here this gas chromatography can be abbreviated as GC, gas chromatography. Clear? So this gas chromatography is mainly or widely used for the analysis of volatile components. So ഇതുവരെ നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ച chromatography എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഏത് ടൈപ്പിലുള്ളതും യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നതായിരുന്നു. But if it is a volatile compound, then this gas chromatography is the ideal chromatographic technique. Okay, so gas chromatography is widely used for the analysis of volatile compounds. So gas chromatography can be abbreviated as GC, and this gas chromatography is widely used for the analysis of volatile compounds. Clear? And here those compounds, either this volatile compounds ആണ് നമ്മളിവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. So these compounds are carried by an inert gas like nitrogen, helium or argon. So these are the carrier gas. So gas chromatography എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ chromatography ആണ്. In the chromatographic technique we are using a carrier gas also. അതാണ് ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. Sample should be carried by this carrier gas. So here the substance which is used for separation are to be carried by an inert gas like nitrogen, helium or argon through a heated stationary bed. So in gas chromatography a stationary phase is there, and the stationary phase is heated. Okay. So ഈ heated stationary phase കൂടെ this inert carrier gas ഈ sample എങ്ങനെ കൊണ്ടുപോകും, അതാണ് ഇതിനകത്ത് നടക്കുന്നത്. So here those compounds are carried by an inert gas like nitrogen, helium or argon through a heated stationary bed. Clear? Now the stationary bed is heated at a temperature ranging from 50 to 350 degrees Celsius. ഈ temperature കൊടുത്തിട്ടാണ് stationary bedനെ heat ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Clear? So in gas chromatography, the compounds that are going to be separated should be carried by an inert gas like nitrogen, helium or argon through a heated stationary bed. Now the stationary bed is heated at a temperature ranging from 50 to 350 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now next point is this choice of stationary phase is governed by the temperature at which the column is to operate and the nature of material to be fractionated. So choice of stationary bed ആയ stationary phase എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്നുള്ള കാര്യമാണ് പറയുന്നത്. So the choice of stationary phase is based on three factors. So first factor is the temperature at which the column is going to be operated. Okay. So the choice of stationary phase is governed by three factors. So the first one is temperature at which the column is going to be operated. Second thing is nature of the material to be fractionated. So which material you are going to be fractionated. So മൂന്നെണ്ണാണ് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ only two factors are there. So based on these two factors only the choice of stationary bed is taken. Okay. So the choice of stationary phase is governed by one, the temperature at which the column is to be operated, and second one is the nature of material that is to be fractionated. So ഈ രണ്ട് factors depend ചെയ്താണ് we are selecting the stationary phase. Clear? Next point is, so it should be non-volatile at the operating temperature. So we already studied that this gas chromatography is mainly used for the analysis of volatile components, and here the stationary phase should have to be non-volatile at the operating temperature. So ഇവിടെ operating temperature എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞു 50 to 350 degree Celsius ആണ്. So ഈ ടെമ്പറേച്ചറിൽ ഈ stationary phase non-volatile ആയിരിക്കണം. Clear? So the stationary phase should be non-volatile at the operating temperature, and it should not react with either the stationary phase or the mobile phase or even the solutes. ഇതൊന്നുമായിട്ട് ഈ സാധനം റിയാക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പാടില്ല. Okay, so the choice of stationary phase is governed by temperature at which the column is to be operated and also the nature of material that is to be fractionated. And this stationary phase should be non-volatile at the operating temperature, and it should not react either with the stationary phase or with the mobile phase or even with the solutes. Clear? So it should be non-volatile, that is volatile ആയി പോകാൻ പാടില്ല at the operating temperature, that is ranging from 50 to 350 degrees Celsius, and it should not react either with the stationary phase or with the mobile phase or with the solutes. Clear? Next point is the commonly used stationary phases in gas chromatography are. So in gas chromatography use ചെയ്യുന്ന stationary phase ആണ്. So the commonly used stationary phases in gas chromatography are silicon oil. Silicon oil is a stationary phase. Then grease is a stationary phase. Mineral oils are a stationary used as stationary phase. Then high boiling point alcohols and their esters can be used as the stationary phase. അപ്പോൾ ഇത്രയാണ് gas chromatography first introduction part ആയിട്ട് പറയാനുള്ളത്. So this chromatography is widely used for the analysis of volatile components, and here the compounds are to be carried by an inert gas like nitrogen, helium or argon through a heated stationary bed, and the stationary bed is to be heated at temperature ranging from 50 to 350 degrees Celsius. Now the choice of stationary phase is governed by the temperature at which the column is to be operated and the nature of the material to be fractionated. Clear? Then it should be non-volatile at the operating temperature, and it should not react either with the stationary and mobile phase or with the solutes. Then the commonly used stationary phases are silicon oil, grease, mineral oil, high boiling point alcohols and their esters, etc. Now the next point is the columns will be having a length of 1.5 to 10 millimeter. So this is the length of the column. So length എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ്? ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള this is the length of the column, and it may be ranging from 1.5 to 10 millimeter, and the internal diameter is 2 to 4 millimeter. 2 to 4 means HPLC യുടെ column നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു 5 millimeter ആണെന്നുള്ള കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു, but the internal diameter of the gas chromatographic column is 2 to 4 millimeter. So the columns will be having a general length of 1.5 to 10 millimeter. അതായത് less than 1 centimeter is the length of the gas chromatographic column, and the internal diameter is from 2 to 4 millimeter. 2 to 4 millimeter. So that is the internal diameter of the column. Just one second. Okay. So the length of the column is less than 1 millimeter, so 1 centimeter, and the internal diameter is 2 to 4 millimeters. 2 to 4 millimeters is the internal diameter. Clear? And the sample is to be injected. So here the, sorry, just one second. The sample is to be injected on the instrument like HPLC itself. Here also the sample is to be injected on the instrument, and the compounds eluting from the column can be detected using a flame ionization. So using a detector, only two different types of detectors are used in gas chromatography. One is flame ionization detector, and second one is electron capture detectors. So these are the two common type of detectors which we are using in gas chromatography. Detectors എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ സാധനത്തിനെ അറിയുന്നത്, അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ. Okay, so the sample to be injected on the instrument is to be injected on the instruments, and the compounds eluting from the column can be detected using a flame ionization or electron capture detectors, and the chromatogram can be visualized in the form of a peak. So this peak is known as a chromatogram. So this can be visualized in the form of a peak, that is known as a chromatogram. Clear? So here the columns will be having a general length of 1.5 to 10 millimeter. Then the internal diameter of the column is 2 to 4 millimeter. Clear? Now the sample to be injected on the instrument, and the compounds eluting from the column can be detected using a flame ionization or electron capture detectors in the form of a peak or chromatogram. Clear? Now the main disadvantage of gas chromatography over other advanced chromatographic technique is that here the sample cannot be recovered after the analysis, because we are already knowing that it is passed through a heated stationary bed. Okay, since the sample is heated, because it is a volatile component, since it is volatile, അത് evaporate ആയി പോവാൻ chance ഉണ്ട്. So that is a major drawback of gas chromatography. That is, here the sample cannot be recovered after the analysis. Okay, so that is a major drawback of gas chromatography. So this gas chromatography can be connected to a mass spectrophotometer for studying the spectral characters of the separated compound. So if you want to know about the spectral characters of the separated compound, then this gas chromatography should have to be connected with a mass spectrophotometer. And this technique is known as GCMS, gas chromatography mass spectrophotometry. It is also known as GCMS. So GCMS is gas chromatography mass spectrophotometry. So here the separated compound is to be connected with the spectrophotometer, that is gas chromatography. If it is coupled or combined with mass spectrophotometry, then the spectral characters of the isolated compounds can be studied, and this is known as GCMS or gas chromatography mass spectrophotometry. Clear? This is used for the separation of compounds present in volatile oil. So that's a major advantage of gas chromatography. It is used for studying the compounds which are separated from the volatile oil. So that is about gas chromatography. So here we are completing this section on chromatography. So we are studying about unit number 4. So the first part, spectral approaches, chemical, now we are studying about chromatography. ഇവിടെ കൊണ്ട് chromatography അങ്ങ് complete ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇനി ഇതിനകത്ത് extractions ആണ് ഉള്ളത്. അത് പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത ക്ലാസ്സിൽ കാണാം. So for the time, this one, thank you. Okay, thank you.